Let's speak now to our own talkTV Royal Editor, Sarah Hewson, is with us. I would imagine, Sarah, I mean, it's extraordinary. Nobody could have written this, could they? That, you know, firstly, the Princess of Wales, a very senior royal, of course, now, is in hospital with what is clearly a serious surgical procedure, recovering well, we understand, thank goodness. And then an hour later, we get another press statement saying the King is going into hospital. I would imagine in the palace at some point, when they're working out the order of events and how they release this news, there would have been a bit of a headache for a few moments where they thought, hang on, this is just going to look really strange. And then someone said, well, there's no way around this. You know, these are the facts. We have two members of our family going to hospital. It happens to people all over the country and their families. It's happening to us. One of them just happens to be the King and the other one, the Princess of Wales.
Yeah, it's interesting you say it happens to people all over the country, because that's very much the tone of the statement from Buckingham Palace regarding the King's health. And they're saying, in common with thousands of men each year, the King sought treatment for an enlarged prostate. His condition is benign, which is good news, and he's going to attend hospital next week for a corrective procedure. The reason they've put this out there is, A, as you were just discussing with Michael, because there is a public interest in this. He is the head of state, and they want to put this information out there. But the King also keen for it to be out there to encourage other men to come forward and to get checked and to make sure they don't ignore any of the symptoms and that they go ahead and see their doctor should they have any concerns at all. And it's all about, you know, reducing stigma, really.
Well, I did. That was oddly one of the first things. You know, obviously, we hope the King is in fine health, and they're at pains to point out this is a benign situation. It's corrective procedure. But it did occur to me as we saw this breaking news that actually the publicity around this prostate cancer and prostate issues are a huge area still very much untouched by areas that should be talking about this. You know, we don't talk about men's health enough, and men don't talk about men's health enough.
And men don't often seek help when they might need it.
Absolutely right.
Reluctant to ask for help, reluctant to go and see the doctor when perhaps they might should. And that is a big push from cancer charities, for example. The sooner you're seen, the sooner you can get treatment. Now, we told the King's prostate issue is benign. So very good news for him, but it is an enlarged prostate. He's going to have this corrective procedure. He's going to be off duties for a short period of time, we're told, while he recuperates. And obviously we had the statement earlier from Kensington Palace, a rather longer period of recuperation for the Princess of Wales, who is going to be in hospital for up to 2 weeks and then recuperating at home for a period of between 2 to 3 months. Now, during that time, the Prince of Wales is also cancelling his duties to support his wife and his family. So we are going to have a period where we don't have the King, the Princess of Wales, or the
Is anyone working over there at Buck House? That's the question. I mean, who runs the place in the absence of... I mean, I'm tempted to say the Queen, but I'm sure it's not quite as simple as that.
Well, you've got some pretty formidable figures within the royal family who can certainly step up, not least of all the Princess Royal, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, for example, and they will be definitely pulling their weight over the coming weeks.
Princess Anne is the workhorse of the family and has been for many, many years, and it doesn't always get talked about, but I mean, she's, you know, her diary is about as full as anyone's diary can possibly be. She never stops, takes it incredibly seriously, and I'm sure with something like this, she would step up to the plate.
Yeah, and look, members of the royal family don't cancel engagements lightly because they know they are planned for many, many, many months. And if you're going to be visiting a charity or an organisation, you know just how significant that visit is to that organisation. So it's a big decision to cancel these, but it's very important to keep healthy, particularly when you're the head of state. You've got to have this procedure done, and so they've put that information out there. And with the Princess of Wales, we're told it was a planned operation, planned surgery. We don't know how long it has been planned for, but this was going to be a really busy period of time. We were also expecting some overseas visits from the Prince and Princess of Wales, perhaps a visit to Italy in the early part of 2024, and we've been told not to expect any international travel by the couple for the foreseeable future.
In terms of not knowing about the Princess of Wales's procedure, and we all respect that. I don't imagine there are many people who would demand to know it's all right. But is there going to be a point when the palace might release details of that? Because you can't stop speculation. You know, we live in a digital world, 24-hour media already you've only got to look at Twitter and Insta and wherever else to see that people are a gazillion rumours and speculative ideas, people writing entire blogs about what they think is happening
It's
here.
inevitable.
And it's all a bit daft, but nonetheless, is there a point where the palace will go, do you know what, let's just stop, let's explain what's happened here?
I think the palace in the past have always been very careful to maintain medical confidentiality. Royal family members are entitled to that as much as any of us, and actually very much at pains in the statement they issued today to point that out and saying that the Princess of Wales knows there's going to be a lot of interest in this statement, but she hopes the public will understand her desire to maintain normality for her 3 children and a lack of speculation about this, because I'm sure she and William will have handled this very carefully with their children when mummy's going into hospital for a long period of time, but also her wish that her personal medical information remains private.
Fortunately for them, they are the royal family. They didn't have to go on an NHS waiting list, which could have been something we wouldn't be reporting for a good few years if that was the case. They have private treatment. Do they favour a particular... Do they have... I mean, the Queen always had her own surgeon, we understand, although a surgeon is a fairly generic term. Would that be the same for the King? Is there a specific personal medical team? Is it an individual? How does that work?
Yeah, interestingly, the Princess of Wales have been treated at the London clinic. Generally, in the past, the King Edward VII Hospital in central London would be the hospital of choice for members of the royal family. I've spent many an hour standing outside there in the latter years with the Duke of Edinburgh's failing health, the late Duke of Edinburgh's health, for example.
I've seen you getting soaking wet outside hospitals.
Many a hospital.
Lots of
times. The Princess
of
Wales herself was admitted there when she was pregnant with George, and she was suffering from acute morning sickness, hyperemesis gravidarum. On this occasion, she's at the London clinic, another private hospital in London. We don't have details around the King, but the King Edward VII is the general hospital where they would choose to be treated.
And in terms of the medical care they would receive, obviously, you know, medics are medics, whether they're private, whoever they happen to be. But would the King have his own... Is it a... How do you...
There is a medical team, there is a royal family doctor,
the kind of
for
discreetness
example.
of the whole thing? I mean, there is something, you know, medical treatment needs to be done no matter who you are, but there is something about being the person that is, you know, who carries out procedures on people who are as notable as a royal family. I mean, that's a high-risk job, some might say.
Well, and it reminds me, when the Princess of Wales was in hospital, you remember the prank call from an Australian radio station, and they managed to get information, personal information, about the then Duchess of Cambridge, as she was, about her condition, and that led, very sadly, to a nurse working at the hospital taking her own life. So I think they will be acutely aware of the need for privacy and confidentiality, as they are with any patient. Actually, it doesn't matter whether you're a member of the royal family or any patient, you are entitled to confidentiality surrounding your medical records and your medical treatment. But that certainly does spring to mind when you ask that question.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. In terms of the King, we are told it's a prostate corrective
Enlarged
procedure.
prostate.
It's benign, so we know all of that. The chance is it's possible then that he won't necessarily be off for perhaps as long as Kate is going to be away from royal duties.
And you know, the King is a pretty fit and active man, and I think that will stand him in good stead, and he will be receiving the very best medical care, a team of doctors, and it will be on that medical advice that he decides when he's fit to return to duties. He's not a man who likes to sit still, so I think we will be seeing him back as soon as possible. And also, while he is recuperating, he will certainly be working. He'll be receiving his red boxes every day, for example. Yeah, of course. And again, just to go over that point about the publicity around male health in this case, the more I think about it, I think it's huge. Actually. I think it's a really powerful message.
Huge figures like the King. And
the fact that the Palace have briefed that the King himself wanted this information to be put out there to try and raise awareness and encourage other men to make sure that they do get checked should they have any concerns whatsoever, really could have quite an impact, and that's why this information is out there, as well as the fact that it is in the public interest, and should the King be taken into hospital, then there is a feeling that the public have a right to know. I don't know why us blokes are slow off the mark when it comes to procedures such as this. I don't know whether it's because prostate issues, you can't see them.
you can't always feel them either. So there's not always a sign that something's wrong unless you have the pinprick test, and that can tell you some information. There are other procedures, of course, to find out a little bit more. But so if this does go some way to addressing even a little bit of that, then that will be seen as a very positive thing.
Yeah, it really will. And I think, I don't wish to make sweeping generalisations, but it is a fact that men are slower than women to seek help, and also to talk about medical concerns. Well, you said it, not me. But also to talk about medical concerns. I think we're making a lot of progress when it comes to men's health, when it also comes to mental health, physical health as well. Really important to seek help. And actually, this may well encourage others to come forward.
We certainly hope so. Sarah, thank you. I'm sure you're going to be popping up all over the place over the next few hours here on talkTV.